Hi, everybody, and welcome to this video on Math Cycle 1 for the CalTPA. This is on planning your Step 1. I am Dr. Jessica Bogunovich. I am the chair for multiple subject, single subject, and MAT programs here at UMass Global. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have hidden myself because in the past it has covered some important information on the slides, and I don't want to inhibit any of that information being shared. So we're going to go through a slideshow. I'm going to talk you through how to be successful on your step one math cycle and really look at and break down what the planning step really means and what it looks like. So let's get into it. The very most important thing here, and I should have viewed this before we started or before I went into slideshow mode. But the most important thing is that, and I share this on the very last screen, is that all of your content standards and your frameworks come directly from the California Department of Education website, and that you're not going to the Common Core Standards website or the NGSS website or any outside website. You need to come directly to cde.ca.gov's website and download your adopted content standards here. As you can see, you have the Common Core State Standards for Math here. And then you have your standards for mathematical practice here. The reason is that the Common Core standards alone are different than the California adopted standards, and you will get a condition code or a score of a 1 if you are not using the correct standards. So tidbit of information. And again, I provide that website on the very last slide for you. So make sure that you're always using the standards from that website. Step 1 covers rubrics 1 through 4. So that is half of your rubrics. Again, step 1 out of 4 steps covers half, 50% of your rubrics. So this step is critical that you understand and do well on. And as we go through this, you'll notice that we focus on really looking at the rubric scores at a level 3, which is mid-range. Whoops. So that you are, successful, not overdoing it, not underdoing it, but just doing it right where you should be. So, step 1 is planning. So you're going to be planning one asset-based UDL-focused math lesson that you're going to teach to a group of students, and you're going to be choosing 3 focus students during clinical practice placement. And there's another video that we have done that it goes into depth on how to choose your focus student. So check that out as well. So key components of step 1. You're going to plan one math lesson, and it's going to focus on asset-based instruction. It's going to have UDL focused strategies. You're going to have ADL, which are academic language development goals, and you're going to have content learning goals. And since this is math, you're going to have a content math learning goal. And something that's new is you're going to have a math practice standard learning goal. You're going to select 3 focus student, one that has academic language development needs, one that has special support needs, and one that has behavioral or external needs outside of class. You're going to be developing learning and ALD goals, specific adaptations and modifications, and including resources that support your lesson plan. So for step 1, evidence that will be submitted is part A, B, C, and D of the templates. So part A is your written narrative contextual information up to 7 pages. Part B is your actual lesson plan. It says you can use an optional template or locally provided format up to 10 pages. We provide you the template in your clinical practice course for the CalTPA template, which we will be requiring you to use. It is the most effective, the most promising, and the best option. So please stick with the CalTPA templates for all of your templates. Part C is your written narrative on the math lesson adaptations for your focus students that can be up to 7 pages. And Part D is your math lesson resources or materials that you used to complete your lesson plan up to 7 pages. Some best practices for your planning step: always use the California Math Standards. Use the examples provided from CTC. Again, they have some videos for how to get to know your students, thoughts on lesson planning, the CalTPA glossary, and the UMass Global Learning Goals template. I will show you that right now. As you moved through or have been in the program, you should have seen this. This is our learning goal template that breaks down how to effectively and successfully write a learning goal. This can be for content, an ELD learning goal, a math practice standard learning goal. But this helps you really lay out the structure for a well-written learning goal, something that the assessors of the CalTPA will be looking for. So we provided the template that includes the what, the declarative knowledge, and the how, which is the most often forgotten part of a learning goal. We have also provided different examples for content learning goals, ELD learning goals, ALD learning goals, and math practice standard learning goals. And then the color-coded chart that goes with it. As you can see, there's some color coding. So you're more than welcome to download that and use that as well. Let's go back into slideshow mode. So let's take a look at what rubric 1 wants you to do. And again, we're aiming for level 3 on all of our rubrics. So rubric 1 wants to know how you apply findings from recent math information to plan your asset-based UDL-focused lesson plan. And how are you going to, leverage that, monitor your students' progress in a safe, positive environment? So these bullet points are called constructs. These are the points in the rubric that are going to be evaluated. So uses recent math information about the group of students to develop one age grade level appropriate math learning goal, including both math content and practice. Okay, it says and. So this means you're going to have 2 math learning goals here. You're going to provide a content learning goal for math and a math practice standard learning goal. Make sure that you have both of these. Include an ALD learning goal for math, academic language development. This has to align with the content in math that you're teaching. Describe how you're creating that safe, positive learning environment. And what does that look like? Leverages the students' assets, cultural and or linguistic, and their interests. This will be discussed in template A. Promotes and engages students in higher order thinking skills. Describe how you're going to motivate and monitor student learning during the math lesson. All right, so if any of these constructs are not shown, you will go down to a level 2, and then so on and so forth. If all of these constructs are strong, you will go up to a level 4, and then we'll see if you meet all of those constructs, and so on and so forth. All right, rubric 2. Again, aiming for level 3. This one wants to know if you apply recent information to plan adaptations. to support language development for Focus Student 1. And you're looking specifically at their assets, their learning needs, their interests. So these again, you have three constructs. Adaptations for Focus Student 1 are clearly informed by and, you want to look for these and or things, and connected to recent information gathered about the student. Adaptations build on Focus Student 1's assets and or interests. Adaptations support Focus Student 1's academic learning development within the math lesson through reading, writing, listening, and or speaking. Rubric 3. Aiming for a level of 3, you have three constructs here, and it's surrounding the question or the idea of how does the candidate apply recent information to plan adaptations for Focus Student 2. So it's almost the same as Focus Student 1. You're looking for adaptations for Focus Student 2, informed by and connected to the information you shared on Template A. Adaptations build on Focus Student 2's assets or interests, and they support their math learning needs. And then Focus Student 3 is in Rubric 4. This one is the same for clearly informed by and connected to the information you shared, that you're building on their assets and our interests. The bottom part is, and I see I have a spelling error that I will fix, adapts the information to support Focus Student 3's well-being and or behavior to meet their learning needs. So let me go ahead and fix that right now before I forget. There we go. All right, let's take a look at some examples. And again, we created a presentation specifically on effectively choosing your focus students and how to do that, what kind of students to look for, best practices for that. So check out that video as well. Focus Student 1 examples include an English language learner, a multi-language learner, heritage language learner, which it might be, somebody who has a different kind of language used in the home. For example, in Hawaiian, they speak something called pidgin language, so it might be something like that. Reclassified English learner. Multilingual learner is someone who speaks multiple languages in the home. So these are things to think about when selecting your student. Focus Student 2, they might have a math learning need, intensive, a math disability like dyscalculia. For if they have an IEP or a 504 plan, it has to specify a math learning goal, and then maybe multi-tiered support system. And your Focus Student 3 examples, maybe there was a recent divorce in the home, they're experiencing homelessness or foster care. They have some behavioral issues, death of a friend or family member. Maybe there's some violence in the home or alcohol and drug use, or some other things that are happening outside of your control. All right, I hope this was helpful. This was just a brief overview, a breakdown of the rubrics. And again, planning is super important because it does cover 50% of the rubrics in this first step. So just learning all about the rubrics, effective planning, authentic teaching and assessment, reflective practices, and educative application is all about the CalTPA Math Cycle. So if you have a general idea of all the rubrics in this planning cycle, and you implement these successfully, you will be well on your way to passing the CalTPA Math Cycle. If you have any questions or concerns about your CalTPAs, feel free to reach out to me, Bogdanovich at umassglobal.edu or CalTPA remediation at umassglobal.edu. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you be successful on your journey. Bye.